Okay, I'm going to give you this video right off the cuff, but I've been studying up on this alarm system on this 99 Sebring for like the last 60 hours pretty hard. I got pretty much got to be a semi-expert on it. Now, if you're having a problem with your key fob, it doesn't work. And, you know, you can put the new batteries in it. It takes the 2016 batteries, and, you know, it's not working like mine doesn't work, right? Nothing works on it. There is a way that I can make it work, though. I'll tell you that. But what you could do is you press down. This is per the book, the owner's manual. It didn't work for me in the way it should have worked. Is you press down the lock, which is this side right here, right up there in the corner, and the trunk release at the same time, simultaneously, for over 3 seconds. Then you release, and then you hit the panic button once, and that should help it find its code again. Because sometimes if you sit with the battery dead for a while, it doesn't find its code. The problem I had with this car was an ignition switch problem. Changed the switch. Key fob was working for a couple days fine, and all of a sudden it stopped working. Now, there's two different security systems in this car. One is the VTSS, which is the body control module. And let me show you about where that is. I'll show you a couple other things. The body control module is actually located, I didn't put this on right, here it is, located behind this. You'd have to take the panel off the bottom, which means you got to take this off. It's not that hard, and then you have to get, well, let's say it's not that easy either. You'd have to get at it this way, but then I haven't seen where they sell any body control modules anyway, but I don't think that's my problem, and I can tell you why. But say you want to experiment with, you know, trying to trace the source. This relay right here, that I put the white on it, that's your horn relay. If you pull that relay, you're not going to have the horn blasting off and on. You'll have the lights flashing if you set off the security alarm. The security alarm fuse, and which other parts of the, which is like the radio and the interior lights and stuff, is this fuse right here, right smack in the middle. You can see, because that's like usually a fuse that's like a catch-all for things that have parasitic draw when the car is sitting. And you, on any car, usually it's the one that's in a thing like this where you can pull it out with your fingers. Like, see this you can't get to? You see how this is raised up like that? That's designed like that on purpose. That doesn't matter if it's a Chrysler, Ford, or Chevy. That's your catch-all anything fuse for stuff that is parasitical draw, like the security system, you know, the door locks, like that stuff. Now, in this car, I was trying to find what the problem was. It was taking some real analysis, and I haven't really figured it out yet, but I have figured out what it isn't. I was going to take out the body control module and clean, you know, make sure the connectors are good to that and everything, and check all the wiring. But I realized that it is getting communication from this key fob. So if there's a problem with something, somehow something lost programming, and maybe that was because the battery was out of the car, was disconnected from the car for a week. And I remember I had this problem a few years ago, and one day it corrected itself just by itself, you know. I don't know why. Just supposed to snap back in there somehow. You know, I hate this thing sometimes. There it is. There it is. That's it. This pulls out if you just go like that. So you got your VTSS, the Vehicle Theft Security System. That's in the body control module. Then you got the SKIM, or, well, they call it the SKIM for the module. In other words, it's the Sentry Key Immobilization module, or Sentry Key Immobilization System, referring to the system. That's actually this black ring that goes around here. That's an antenna, and it's attached to a module, which is behind this plastic thing right here that you take off with these two screws, and there's a wire. Now, if you have a problem with a SKIM, see, the problem with these older cars, they don't make these parts anymore. If you got a problem with the SKIM, the secure Sentry Key Immobilization module, they don't sell those anymore. And so what they got now is they can do a SKIM delete. You'd have to disconnect your SKIM module and send in your PCM, your power control module, which is under the engine bay here, and have it programmed for like 125 or 150 bucks, depends on where you get it done. That thing right here, the two things on it, the two wire connectors, that's it right there. It's just a couple 8mm bolts in that, and it pulls right out. Disconnect the battery, send it in, have the SKIM delete. If you reconnect the SKIM again, it reprograms the security into the PCM again, and then you can't use the car. But if you did a SKIM delete, you don't need to use one of these transmitter keys, because this has the chip in it. I'm not doing that because the SKIM is also connected with the vehicle theft security system. And if you take that out and you remove that, you might not have any way to disarm the system. Now, there is also, besides disarming the system with the key fob, right, you could do it with the keys. And there's an antenna that's back behind this with a switch that if you use your transmitter key, you don't want to use a regular key. The one that has, I mean, the the one with the chip in it. You don't want to use a regular cut key. The one with the chip in it, and you turn it this way. You turn it to unlock. And by the way, unlock is always going forward. So on this side, you're turning it this way forward, like the top part forward. On the other side, so you're turning it counterclockwise. On the other side, you're turning it clockwise because forward is on the other side. On the other side. So you remember that if you're trying to unlock it, so you make sure you go the right way. Because when you go to lock it, it arms the system. Now in this case, a lot of times when you go to unlock it, it just armed it. See it? The door went down. You see that flashing light? Now, if I just reach in and hit the unlock, flashing light goes off. The problem is I can't use the unlock button on the key fob. Now, one thing I was thinking is on a convertible, this is highly piss poor security, because if you took a little razor cut right here, you went down over the yardstick and hit that button, you'd get in the car. You wouldn't be able to start it because you still have to have the key with the chip in it to work off the SKIM, the Sentry key immobilization module with that ring around the ignition lock to start it. You still wouldn't be able to start it, but you can easily get in the car and not set the alarm off, as long as you can reach in somehow. And even if you was able to get in here with a hook or something and get this unlocked, that would be fine. Now, the way this is supposed to work is, I'll lock it so you see those blinking lights on. The way this is supposed to work is you're supposed to turn this to the left, and that's supposed to go off. Well, I found out, most of the time these switches in here, they break. The one that works with the antenna, and it's got like an antenna ring, goes around the back of this ignition key, they're broken. So you want to try this on the passenger side. And so when you go over to the passenger side, you're going to, you go forward. And this isn't going to shut it off because I tried it, because this side is broken too. But usually the driver's side wears out first. Well, since I have my horn in there hooked up, I'm not going to try it, but I found out by spraying a bunch of WD-40, the one I use is this one, the specialist one, it works better on rust. I didn't even pull out the switch or nothing like that. I just sprayed it all down. I shined a flashlight down in here, with the window down, way down in there, and you can see the mechanism from behind here, and I sprayed it all down. So when I turned it this way, and I held it that way while I opened it up, while I was opening it, the flashing light went off. I had to do it while I was opening it, and keep the key like that. It doesn't do it automatically. Like it does, it should disarm it right now, but it's not. Now with this, let's see, with me, if I press, this is the unlock, that's the lock, that's the trunk release. Unlock and lock Lock and trunk release at the exact same time. See what happens. Huh. Wait a minute. Let me try it again. Where I'm not. I got to get it the same exact time for like several seconds. This ain't gonna work right now. That's the thing. I remember one time it worked when after I hit the unlock. Nope. Now here's something else I want to point out. I know it's communicating because you see that flashing light and you see my finger on this, on the button right here. I'll press this. Where's that flashing light? You get it, right there. See, it's a flashing light. I keep pressing it, right? I'm pressing it right here. I'm pressing it. See? Flashing light's off. So it is communicating. Unpress it. Don't touch it. Light comes back. So I know this fob is communicating. Now, let me just shut this off a second because I know I can go in here and just hit the switch and shut it off. But let me see if I can get this thing. Maybe because I'm holding the camera, I didn't press. You got to press these down exactly the same time. Let's see if I can do it off camera. Okay, it did work because I had it. It did work that time off camera because, you know, if I had a camera stand, I could show you because it was working like 10 for 10 times. So it unlocked it when I had to put like my both thumbs on here, one thumb on here, so I wasn't holding the camera, and one on there, exactly the same time. And I think it took about 7 seconds. I put brand new batteries in this again too, and it unlocked it. That's something you might want to try. Now, this would not disarm your system, but if you could find a way, and I think it would be very simple, if you got another key fob from another manufacturer and you had, you know, because there's definitely like a hot wire to this all the time. Like in other words, that 5-volt fuse is for systems that stay on in this car at all times or hot all the time. So like if I have the key off and I can operate the door locks at any time, right? So I can, you know, the security system can be armed at any time with the key off. And when I open the door, like right now, the security, the red light is off. So I open the door, you know, the lights work. So that's like, if you pull that fuse in the middle, like if you have your door ajar or your trunk lights on, or you leave your map light on or something, it's not going to drain the battery. That's why they have those in all cars like that. It's kind of like the fuse for systems that are on at all times, and that could be parasitic draw. So they don't want to be messing around charging up batteries, because if you drain a battery all the way, you might need to get a new one, or it'll greatly diminish its life, at least, you know. So now I want to say some more things. With the 98, well, it's actually 96 to 2000, but 96 and 27 have other ways you can kind of get in there, program stuff a little bit better than 98 to 2000. The 98 and 2000, you need to use a DRB3 scanner, dealer, right? Now, they do make a DR3 emulator that works on your computer. That's $2,500, right? Like, I'm not getting that, plus tax. And the dealer ones, they sell them used for $2,500. I was thinking if I try to take this into a locksmith or a dealer, they're not even gonna have that stuff. That's like ridiculous, man. So, what I'm gonna do, well, I'm gonna tell you something else. I found something else. This is why this video is gonna have a lot of good information in it. There's a thing called a mini fob. I think it's a mini pod. It's a mini pod. And you set up, it's like $130. Plugs into your, you know, your like, I'll show you where that is. You know, your thing where you plug in your code tester. It's right up in there. This thing plugs in right up in there. Right? This is where am I pointing at it right? Yeah. Plugs into there. Under, you know, here's your brake. It's right up in there. It's right up in there. Here's your brake, right? So, I mean, your hood release, excuse me. I'm thinking of like the brakes in the old cars, man. You know, the foot thing. But this thing uses, I think it's called a mini pod. And it uses, you can put a virtual operating system on your regular PC computer and hook it up with a USB cable from the mini pod to computer, and it works as a DRB3 emulator. So you have like the full factory scanner as long as you're using a PC, and for software is free, for like 140 bucks, 135, 140 bucks. So there's a way around it. Now, the one other issue you have is sometimes to do other programming, like with the security features and like doing keys and key fobs and stuff, you requires you to have the factory pin. And you know, there's a way you can cut open the SKIM and put a special connector on it and read all these codes and find the pin. I'm like, God, definitely ain't doing that. And I says, if I call up the factory and ask them for what's the pin on my vehicle, I give them the vehicle number for like a 99 Chrysler Sebring, like they're gonna tell me get lost. So I don't think I have an option of getting, well, I'm not done with this yet, but this has only been going on about a week, so I already found a solution to open the doors. Just press that one and that one at exactly the same time and hold them down. Usually takes about 7 seconds. And it does work from like 30, 40 feet away, so it works good. It just takes, it must be rolling codes and find something, I don't know what, but it's got to be the SKIM, it's got to be the remote for the car. This won't work for any remote. So something went wrong with the programming. It's like this thing's still communicating. Like I know the lock button's communicating and the trunk release button's communicating, because if I press those both down simultaneously, the doors unlock. I know the unlock button's communicating because while I'm pressing it down, the security light goes off. Although it doesn't disarm the system, it keeps the security light off as long as I keep pressing down this button. And I noticed communication from the BCM to the door locks because I'm making it unlock with simultaneously pressing both these buttons down. So it can't be an issue with wiring. I was going to be checking that. I did improve that thing over there, that switch, whatever the hell you call it, by spraying the WD-40 on it. It works most of the time. Like I said, you have to hold the key in this position. Even though what gets me nervous about it is the red light is still blinking. And most of the time when I open the door, the alarm doesn't go off. Sometimes it does. It's supposed to when you turn it this way, in the off position. It's from the driver's door it's this way. On a passenger door, since you're going forward, it's going to be that way. You know, it doesn't disarm it while I'm doing this, and when I open the door at the same time, it does most of the time. The thing is, I can't tell if it's going to work, you know, because the red light's still going off. I can't tell until I actually open the door, and then it's too late if it didn't work. But this is one workaround, you know, with those two buttons. And if you got, you know, an aftermarket remote and you put the receiver unit in the door and you hooked it up to the wires that go to that power door lock switch right over here, like inside the door, and you got your power door lock switch, which is that thing. It's unlocked, that's locked. So, you know, the systems should be armed now. Wait a minute. System didn't even arm. You know why? Maybe because it didn't open the door yet. It didn't even arm. That's interesting. So I disarmed it. So like if you, yeah, that's what, you know why? Because if you open the doors and you disarm the system, and then you open the door and then you get back in and you lock the doors, it's not going to arm the system. So let me open it up, close it. Like that means like I got back in the car. Now I do this. No. I guess you got to drive it or something. I don't know. I just got, Now I know if I do with the key, whether I go to unlock it or lock it, even like if I don't even go to, say I'm going to unlock it, watch what happens. Yeah, I could feel the key being pulled back. When I went to unlock it, it locked itself again. Now, let me see if I can do this. I don't know, stupid phone. I can't, I don't have a stand right here. Let's do it this way. Probably hear it. Huh. So I want something that's going to work all the time, but huh. So I don't like it. It was working almost all the time, and once in a while it doesn't work. I don't like that. I got the window down, so I mean I could just count off 3 confused more seconds here. What about? Oh, you heard it? It went off. It did. It did it. It did it. See, the lights are on. The lights are on. Security alarm. The lights off over there. The lights are on back here. See? Okay. All right. Yeah. So I don't know if you heard that. It's kind of like you gotta hold it there for a while and do it a couple times, and it works. So I guess, you know, I don't know. I mean, that in itself, if you got a problem with this, you got to work around for a while. But again, if you can find, you know, I'm going to mess around with this some more. But I might do is possibly just get a key fob that will unlock the door, you know, separate, and keep this one too, because I found if you set the alarm off and you can disconnect the battery, right? The lights are flashing and you can disconnect the battery, and it don't matter how long you disconnect the battery, you put it back on again, the lights are still flashing. But if I hit, when the alarm goes off, I mean, it's like somebody broke into the car or something. But then if I hit panic mode on this, then it starts flashing really fast. Then if I disconnect the battery or I pull that 5 amp, it turns off the security alarm, but the lights still flash really, really fast. Then if I pull that 5 amp fuse, or the one in the middle I showed you, or disconnect the battery, then the alarm doesn't go back on. So I still need this in some situations. If somehow the alarm went off, I would still need this panic button to set it off faster. I don't know what's going on with that exactly, but, and then that actually, you know, disconnects the security system, and actually goes off. But the lights are still flashing real fast, and the horn's going even faster, and the lights are flashing faster. Then if you pull that 5 amp fuse, everything's cool. And because when it comes back on, you already disconnected the security system. So I'm still like trying to figure this out. But again, there's like 2 security systems in here. There's a VTSS. That's in a body control module. The VTSS stands for Vehicle Theft Security System. It's just a cute acronym. Now, you can't just swap in any body control module. It's got to have the VIN in it, and it's got to have your mileage. Now, I've been looking around the internet. They used to, 15 years ago, have body control modules at All Computer Resources, and they don't have them anymore. I don't even see anybody selling them. This car's in '99, so it's getting there. It's like 25 years old, basically. You got 2024s are out, right? It's 25 years old. So, but I'm too stubborn, so it don't matter. I'll figure it out. But, you know, this is the way I look at it is like this. If this car is a problem with all these computers, what's a 2010 car is going to have more computers? A 2015 is going to have more. A 2020, it's getting worse and worse. And not only that, this engine was complicated back then, double overhead cam, long intake runners that you got to take the intake off to change some of the 3 of the spark plugs. And it's got, you know, it's got all the full emissions and stuff. Back then, this was loaded. This had every option on it. The auto stick with the transmission, auto stick, the, you know, cruise control. Today, most of those features are like standard on anything. But the thing is, the electronic components on this car are like kind of like components you used to get out of Radio Shack when they're in business, and you can actually say there's an EEPROM chip, and there's a resistor here, and there's a capacitor here. You know, you could probably take one of these computers in here, like whether it's the BCM or the PCM, and it could be repaired. The new stuff, it's like they got like microprocessors. They got it's way more miniaturized, where you can't just take a soldering iron and fix something. So it's even infinitely worse. So a lot of times people got rid of the cars back in the 70s, or even like, this is more reliable, and they sell you something. Well, it's great for the guy that buys the car brand new, because, you know, the guy that buys a brand new car is like, oh, it's $50,000 to $70,000. That's nothing. You know, I got $10 million in cash sitting around, besides my, you know, $50 million in assets. So what's that? That's a little dime. Well, he gets rid of it in a year or 2 years, and then somebody else gets it. By the time the average person gets it, it's like 10, 15 years old, and all these gizmos they throw in the cars that have nothing to do with making it go from point A to point B, they start breaking. And then you got a problem. Like a classic example is a truck. Like, you know what trucks used to be like? I remember I had a 66 Dodge D250, slant 6 with the 4-speed new process with the granny gear, and the big, I don't know what it was, like a Dana rear end with posi traction, had the split rims on it. I don't know, these big old tire split rims, you know, and 8-bolt lugs and stuff. And they, you know, don't think wrong with it, it was rusty. But the thing is, that thing didn't have anything. It didn't even have carpet. It was all metal inside. It didn't even have any, like, vinyl on the doors on the inside, nothing. It had, like, didn't have nothing. It had a speedometer, oil pressure gauge, temperature, and, you know, volts, and your heater and your radio. That's it. Nothing else. And it was fine. You know, they could sell a truck today that's like that and still have the airbags that are needed for federal standards and emissions. They will not do that. You know, every truck is like you know, it's like a luxury cabin, you know, with 50 million creature comfort things in it and stuff. So they're for rich people, and it's going to make it, it's actually went full circle from the time of Henry Ford. You see, back at the turn of the other century, when it was going into the 1900s, yeah, there were some cars, like Oldsmobile was around, and nobody can afford them until Henry Ford put out that Model T. We don't have that today. It's all going to the richest people. So the only way you're going to be able to get from point A to point B is to keep fixing the old stuff. So I'll continue on with the mystery of this security system some other time, but I figured I'd put this video out now while it's still fresh in my mind. You can pull the horn relay if you're messing around with it. You don't want the horn to go off. There's some various, like if you have a car without the VTSS, the vehicle theft security system, and you just have a SKIM module, you can delete the SKIM module. You have to have that done in the PCM program. That's because they don't make that SKIM module anymore. You got to go through some rigmarole getting a used one and fancy stuff with your DRMB 3 scanner to figure out how to put your VIN in there and stuff and all this other junk. It's like, it's ridiculous. Oh, I want to mention one more thing. There's one thing you can do with this car is that I got, like on this keychain, I actually have 2 programmed keys, right? You know, I don't need to have 2, but I figured if one of the chips went bad, I'd at least have the other one with me. I was always worried about these stupid chips. But I got 3 more. You can program up to 8 keys with this car. And what you do is, I forgot what you can find this on the internet. There's a way to program these yourself. I got a total of 5 keys. I got 2 on this chain, and I got 3 on another one. It's plenty enough keys. And you can program them yourself. And if you have, so you can't go past 8 keys, but say you lost most of your keys and you want to have 8 keys again, what you'd have to use is that DRMB3 scan tool and delete all the information for the keys that are in the SKIM, and then start from scratch and reprogram the keys, 8 more keys. That way, you can still do it. But you can have a max of 8 keys. That's what it is. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's probably like 8 bits of information times this. I don't know what it is. But it'd be nice if, you know what I'm going to do right now, because I'm curious. I might set this alarm off, but I'm going to pull the, if you're messing with this, I'm going to pull this relay off. I might set this alarm off. See this relay right here? I marked it in white so I know which way it goes, where it is and stuff. I'm gonna lock this, and you see, so you see in the beginning the light goes flashing while it's arming, and then it slows down to a slower blink. Should be. All right, there it is. Now it's doing a slower blink. Now, this might set it off. It might not. I don't know. Let's see if I put this up in here. Great video here. Got my Christmas lights out there. See, if we're going to turn the key, and the light's still blinking. I'm going to try to open it up. Oh, it set it off. See? It set it off. So, didn't work that time. That's why I don't like doing it all the time like this. Sometimes it works. That's why I disconnect it more. Now, see the lights are flashing. The horn would be beeping like that if I didn't have the thing out. Sometimes it worked. That's why I don't want to open the key like that. Sometimes I can get it with the key, and sometimes I can't. Now, if I hit the panic, see that went off? The light went off, the door's open, and the lights are going faster. That would be your horn doing that. But I only was able to do that with this remote. So this thing's communicating. So then if I go in here and I pull out the 5 amp, it's not a 5 amps, the number 5 fuse is a 10 amp. It's the number 5, but it's always the one that sticks out like this. All right, I put it back in, the alarm's reset. There's no alarm. You know, that's aggravating, because most of the time when I use the key, it will not set off the alarm. Most of the time. So this switch in here is still flaky. You're supposed to be able to take the key and turn it into the off position, and it should disarm it as long as you got a transponder chip key that's to this car. So somehow, you know that communication must be going to the SKIM up and ignition switch, not to the BCM per se, but they're all working together. The BCM is sending, the body control module is sending the command to open the lock. But the security information itself is stored in the SKIM. So if I deleted the SKIM, how would I be able to, if I set off the the security system, how would I be able to shut it off? I couldn't, right? That's why, it's right now, I got it to the point where I can open the doors with these 2 buttons, it seems like all the time. If I hold them down both exactly the same time for maybe 10 seconds or so, or 7 seconds, it varies. And then, that seems to work 100% of the time. It doesn't work like immediately, but it works. The key situation works most of the time, That's why I don't want to use that option. Now, in your situation, say, you know, I think the switch on this driver's door was changed. That's why it works a little bit. Because the one that's on the passenger side, they usually tell you to go, because it's supposed to work on both doors. You're supposed to be able to disarm the, what do you call it? Disarm the system from both doors with just the chipped key, the chipped Sentry key, either one. Use it unlock. You want to hold it in the unlock position, and for several seconds. Usually the one in the driver's door wears out first. They break all the time. Then your passenger door is less apt to be broken. But both of mine are broken. The driver's door works sometimes after I sprayed a bunch of WD-40 on it, but doesn't work all the time. Now, that part, I'm going to list it there in the description for the parts for that and that. Discontinued. I look for new old stock on eBay for that part number. Nope, they ain't got it. I can't find it anywhere. I mean, I wouldn't mind if I can just open it with the key all the time and had both these sides working. But right now, I don't see where they make it in the aftermarket. I don't see any way around it. I'm like, what a stupid setup, man. Because again, you know, I get, you know, it's dumb. Because like if I had the door, see, when the window's down, if I just flip that switch, so if somebody comes in here, one of those body things like this, goes in there and gets to the switch and opens it, the alarm is disarmed. You still won't be able to start the car. But as far as getting in it, you can get in it no problem without setting the alarm off. It's a joke, man. So I mean, I don't care about this part where the doors have alarms on it. It's nice having the locks. I mean, that's not doing you that much good. Even that ain't that great. But, you know, right now, you having the security in the key with the chip, that's fine. Because today, you know, you got a key fob and you press a button, right? I mean, that's really what's going on with this. They just got rid of, you know, people weren't comfortable with that, but really your security is actually the chip that's in this fob. That's your real security. This key is like secondary. And like they usually have, you know, keys with it too, like with your fob that you put in there anyway. So like it's a backup system. But, you know, they sell this garbage. Like I said, they sell this garbage to people who have lots of money, and it's great for them. But when the guy that gets the car like 15, 20 years down the road, it's like, you know, if you had a 1968 Chevelle or 66 Chevelle that was like in about this condition, you wouldn't have all these problems. People back then, they got too lazy about fixing them. They got sold the best junk. So the wealthy people are basically, you know, the upper wealthy people that can afford the better cars and stuff are buying all these extra gizmos, and they're on every car. You can't buy a truck the way you used to be able to buy one in 1966 with no garbage on it. You can't do that. I mean, they were selling cars, even cars without carpet. They had rubber mats. That was your floor. That wasn't that long ago. No, cars didn't have power windows. They didn't have, you know, if the car had AM it used to brag radio and heater. I remember seeing that back in the early 70s, that they would brag radio and heater. Heater works good. No air conditioning, no power windows. You know, you would sometimes see the power brakes and power steering, but, you know, that's about it. Not even an FM radio. And to me, what's your car supposed to do? Go from point A to point B, right? Well, they're making that proposition just be for the exclusive class now, and that's one of your problems, right? So, you know, I'm trying to help you people to, you know, whoever's, you know, there's not a big cult following for these Chryslers out there because, but again, I'm too stubborn. I'll figure it out. And right now I gave you a wealth of information that probably took me 60 hours to find out. You know, you can, again, I'm going to repeat to you again, that you can get that DRB3 scanner. I didn't get one with that mini pod, and you run a virtual operating system on your PC. It works just like a DRP3 scanner. But it looks like in my case, everything is communicating fine. Somehow, I think it's inside the SKIM or something in there. Somehow it lost the information for my transmitter, this. And I think the only way for me to program that back in is not only to have the DRB3 scanner, but also have the PIN number, which is a 4-digit PIN number for this car. I'm like, where is that? You know, good luck, but I'll figure it out. But right now, I still got a way to open the doors, you know, and I got a way to shut off the alarm, and I got a way to not to make the horn go off. If you have a problem with this situation, you know where the horn relay is. You know where the number 5 fuse is to basically stop the power going to the security system. And oh yeah, there's one more thing. There's a way to, like, if you don't have this panic switch, the wire that goes up to that inside the door, that goes up to that door lock, that has that little antenna ring around it to disarm the system, but that switch always breaks and stuff, which mine you could see was still broken most of the time. It disconnected, and there's 2 prongs in there, there's 2 wires. You jumper them with the car, with the battery, with the car off. Not the batteries could be in, it's fine. It will unlock your security system. You jumper that, because that's another way to disarm the security system from that switch. The switch goes bad, but there's a connector. There's like the switch, and there's a wire that comes off it, right? And there's a connector that goes to a wire that goes all the way into your BCM and stuff. Well, you disconnect the wires, the switch, just a coupler, like it's got the wire. Here's the switch. There's a wire, goes up to about, maybe up to about there. And then it's inside the door, and then there's a long wire that goes all the way this way. There's a, you know, the connector between the main wire going into the wire by the switch. You disconnect that, and you jumper it for this long wire. That's making the switch working. You know, it makes it like it's making contact. You're just doing it manually with a piece of wire, and that will shut off your security system. And then you still might have to pull the number 5 fuse, but, you know, I mean, number 5 fuse, but still, that'll stop the red light. The red light won't be going on anymore, and they'll stop it. You know, like, as a matter of fact, I mean, if you really want to get real redneck, you could probably, you know, you say you put a, you know, you hit it right here. You drill the hole right there, right, or something, right? Or I don't know, somewhere right in here. And you had like a little switch this way, and you could disarm the system by making that contact, just doing it that way, without using it, so you could disarm the system. You know what I mean? It would be, because they don't make the switch anymore. It's stupid, man. I'm telling you, it really is dumb. But that's what the hell goes on. It's dumb. I mean, I saw another guy did that with jumper and that 2-prong connection to that thing, and it disarmed it on it. I think it was a 97 or 98 or something like that. It should be the same system as this 99. But they make everything, and like I said, if you got 2001 and up, you got a lot more options. You got options. You can program your own key fobs and stuff. This thing is like dealer only, or good locksmith that has the right stuff. I might talk to somebody about it. I got another key fob, but I might do is order a 3rd one and see if I get it fixed, and have 3 key fobs, but it's going to be somebody else that does that stuff, because I'm not going to, it's getting a little bit out of my range, you know. I mean, I might get that DRB3 emulator tool one day, pretty soon, because it's about 130 bucks. It works, and I got some other old laptops I can use it with it on a virtual operating system, and I might, you know, do a video on that where we can show how you can do all this, a regular dealer, factory dealer type scan tool, but not the same, but, you know, it works the same in every respect, and we can go through that. But there's not too many people who own these cars anymore, I think. But somebody did ask me a question on a security system, and lo and behold, I didn't know what to say. I mean, I knew, like, the ignition switch gave me a problem twice in the I had this car 17 years. This is the second time I changed that ignition switch. But it was okay. The key fob and all the alarm and stuff, everything worked fine for 2 days afterward. And about the third day, it stopped working. And it's never worked with the key in the door to disarm the system. I always had to use this one key fob. And that's the only guy who's hope this thing don't break. So far, it's it's working in a roundabout way to disarm it. So, persistence is everything. But just want to, so you got, in this particular car, I would not disable the SKIM system, because the body controls, I don't know if you can go in there and program the body control module to stop the theft, the security system from working, the VTSS, the vehicle theft security system. I don't know if you could do that. There probably is a way, but I looked online for hours and I didn't see anybody programming BCMs for this car. I didn't even see where they sold them. So there's your problem. I mean, it's like, the car gets really, I don't know what they're going to, in the future, if you wanted to keep this car and everything was running good and you had all these computers, I mean, I don't know how you would do it. It's like these computers are playing obsolescence to the max. So, and today, they're infinitely more complex. So if you think it's bad 99, it's way worse than 2020s. Forget about it. So stick with the old stuff. That's the moral of the lesson learned. And this is why I want to get another spare older Harley, an Evo from the late 80s or early 90s, because they were just like the 1960s cars. They were simple as anything. Anyway, over and out. Okay, so I'm going to show you this because I'm just going to hold this between my legs here. So this is the key fob. I found out how it works all the time. That's lock, unlock, trunk release, panic button. Right now, this is not working. None of the buttons. But I found if I press these two down at the same time, it works. And I was like figuring, why does it work sometimes and not other times? It's because you got to press down the lock button first. This is to unlock it now. Pressing down the lock button first. Then you're pressing the trunk release button and holding both of them down together. This has to be first, then this. Wait about 6 seconds. Heard that? See that? Light came on, doors pop, both doors pop open. So you do have to press these simultaneously, the lock and the trunk release, but you got to press this one first and hold both of them down together, and about 6 seconds later it pops open every time. So this is usable. I don't know what's wrong, but it could be BCM is messed up, because I had that problem with the shortened ignition switch, and the locking system and the security system are always on, so maybe somehow that shortened ignition switch damaged something inside the BCM, because I do know that this will communicate, the key fob will communicate. You saw it just do it right now, but it also communicates while I'm pressing the unlock button, because when I had the security flashing light on there, while I'm pressing this, that light goes off. So it's getting a signal, and we know the BCM, the wires from the BCM to this are working, because I just unlocked it here using this method. But somehow, when I'm using the lock or unlock button is in the normal fashion, they don't work. And I think the problem might just be in the BCM itself, but there's a way around it, so it works. I'm going to see if I can have another key fob programmed, and I don't know if I can, but this thing, it's difficult to say, because I'm just hoping to get like 320,000. I got 258,000 miles on the car now. I'm hoping to get to 320, and maybe I'll put a 3.0 single overhead cam in there, which is non-interference, and put that in here. Then it'll be good for another 300,000 miles. But the computers are the sticking point, because as the cars get older, these computers are getting tougher and tougher to find. There's a lot of little parts that that'll sell anymore. So, and we'll find. We'll see. We'll see.